Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I'm going to give you my NFL Week 5 prediction for the Silver and Black up against the Indianapolis Colts. And then I'm also going to give you my keys to victory for Las Vegas in the biggest game of the year on the offensive side of the football and on the defensive side of the football. Because entering this one, we're 1-3. You can't go to 1-4. I'm sorry. I know that there's some people out there going, Mitch, it's going to be a long process. It's going to be a long season with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll didn't expect to go 1-4. I didn't expect to go 1-4, and this is the biggest game of the season for the Las Vegas Raiders, and they got to try to get a tough win on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. Here's the thing. If you do not know, we will be live for this game 1 hour before kickoff. We had 159,000 people pull up last week. We gave away over $2,000, and in the entire month of October, you're going to have an opportunity to win really, really flipping cool Raiders signed jersey. So make sure you're subscribed. I better see you there on game day. We're going to start here on the offensive side of the football, and the first one, if you didn't think that this was going to be my first key to victory, you haven't watched the Raiders game all season long. Geno Smith, no turnovers, please. I think if the Raiders play turnover-free football from the quarterback position, we're 3-1 instead of being 1-3. Yes, I know that Geno wants to push the ball down the field, but when you really look at the numbers, he is forcing it. Teams are playing cover to take care of the football, Geno, because the seat is already hot. You don't want it to get any hotter. Let's go to the next one of your feature, Ashton Jeanty. If you know that our quarterback's turning over the football like a madman, if you knew that we got a backup left tackle in Stone Forsythe getting the start because Colt Miller is unable to go, I want to feature Ashton Jeanty in any way humanly possible. He had 155 total yards, 3 touchdowns last week, 2 catches, 17 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. He was averaging 6.6 yards per carry. I want to keep that momentum going. I know that the Colts defense is a lot different than the Chicago Bears defense, but if you're Chip Kelly, if you're Pete Carroll, if your game plan on the offensive side of the football doesn't revolve around number 2, and if it doesn't revolve around getting him 20-plus touches, it's the wrong game plan. Let's go to my next key to victory here. I want to see more work from Jack Bech. Pete Carroll has kind of hinted at it a few times this week that Bech is going to get a few extra reps. I know that we've been a big supporter on this channel of Dante Thornton Jr., but I'm never going to put any player above the shield. Bech needs more reps because Dante Thornton has been struggling. So this season, Thornton's got 165 snaps. Jack Bech has got 30 snaps, 14 targets, 5 catches, 94 yards, and 4 first downs for Thornton. For Bech, 2 targets, 2 catches, 33 yards, 2 first downs. But now I want to look at this from a little bit more of an extra level standpoint and why I want Bech to get more of those snaps. So when you're talking catch percentage, we know Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Ashton Jeanty, those are essentially our top 3 targets that we look for in an offensive game plan. I need somebody else besides those names that I mentioned to step up. I need a Dante Thornton to step up. I need a Jack Bech to step up. The problem is when Thornton has been targeted this season, he's catching the football 35.7% of the time. But now let's look at the separation. Separation based on yards is based on yards. You can see right now, Bech is clearly creating more separation than Dante Thornton Jr., which I actually think could help Geno Smith if he's getting to that third read. From a run blocking standpoint, according to PFF, Bech has done a better job in limited reps. PFF grade overall, actually, Dante Thornton is the 53.4. Jack Bech is the 70.6. So the PFF overall grades there, you can switch them. My bottom line is this. Jack Bech has clearly been the better player with his limited snaps. And in a game going up against the Indianapolis Colts, I also need somebody that can run block. For that reason, I want to see 1-8 out on the field a little bit more. Let's go to the next one here. It's not rocket science, but I've heard Chip Kelly say it. I've heard Pete Carroll say it. I've heard Geno Smith say it this week. We want to try to get more targets for Brock Bowers. Well, let's stop trying and let's just flip and do the damn thing. Because this season, when you look at separation yards, I know that Brock Bowers ain't 100% healthy, but guess what? He's still one of the best in the NFL creating separation at the wide receiver and tight end position. He's actually 6th best right now in the National Football League with 2.26 yards of separation that he's creating. Trey Tucker, 8th. Jacoby Myers, 22nd. Dante Thornton, 97th. So as you can see, these have been your top 3 targets. I need somebody else besides these 3 dudes to step up. But if you're Chip Kelly, Brock Bowers better get 10 flipping targets this game. I'm not happy with the amount of usage that he's gotten. He kind of got it rolling a little bit last week. No more excuses. There's no more excuses. It's Brock Bowers' time all the time. And he's got a big matchup going up against Tyler Warren, who people are already saying might be a better tight end than him. Let's hush up that overhype because Brock is that dude. And if we can't get him 10 targets, then what the hell are we doing all week at practice? So I want to know from the nation. I asked this question last week about Ashton Jeanty in terms of how many touches do you want to give him? Seems to work out pretty well for Jeanty. So maybe the coaches see this video. How many targets for Brock Bowers in Week 5? This is going to be the pinned comment. My answer coming up here in just a moment. 10. It's got to be 10. It's got to be double digit. And I know that Bowers might not be able to show the ability to stretch the field like he once did. I still think that we have to try. I'm hoping that Michael Mayer is going to be out there on the field, and I'm hoping that we're able to use more 12 personnel. I want to use more 12 personnel because it's going to help out our tackles. It's also going to help out our interior linemen. I think one of the things that the Raiders did really well last week, despite not having Michael Mayer, they used Ian Thomas. They promoted 2 tight ends to the active roster in Albert O and Carter Runyon. Carter Runyon now is actually on the active roster, so I should probably add him here to this depth chart. That's on me, Carter. But to me, when you have Brock Bowers, you can line him up out at wide receiver. Then you could still use Michael Mayer and Ian Thomas as that 2 tight end set because of how versatile Brock Bowers is, because I anticipate the offensive line that the Raiders are going to be using up against the Indianapolis Colts is going to be this one that you see on screen. I mean, with Colton Miller, who's been arguably the best left tackle in the National Football League this season, if you think that's an overhype, I really encourage you to go watch the tape and go look at his numbers because Miller actually has been statistically the best left tackle in the National Football League, and now you're replacing him with somebody who has been a career backup, somebody that I would consider like a Brandon Parker for you Raider fans out there, and we know how much the offensive line has struggled. To help the offensive line out, I want more physicality. I want more 12 personnel, and if we're struggling to be able to get Dante Thornton Jr. open, put Brock Bowers out there as a wide receiver, put the 2 tight ends set in, and let Jacoby Myers be the other wide receiver if need be. Those are my keys to victory, though, on the offensive side of the football. But now we're about to get into the defensive side of the football. Before I do that, is there anybody watching this show trying to put some money in their pocket? If you're trying to put some money in your pocket, listen up right now, because today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Now, Prize Picks does have a new feature, and I'm going to show it to you when it's in my lineup, because Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you want to go more or less on, let's just say, Daniel Jones interceptions and Daniel Jones stats in general, you're going to be able to do it. It's what I did. Also, on Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, when you look at my lineup here, this is a 10 to pay 100 and is that 80? I think that's $180 6-pick flex play. This is a big one, right? So Josh Down, I took the more on the fantasy points there. Why? Michael Pittman Jr. was added to the injury report on Thursday with a hamstring injury, and he might not be 100%. For Daniel Jones, give me 1 interception. It's Daniel flippin' Jones. I ain't scared of you. Jones, then, the 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to go less there. I think they're going to try to run the football. Jonathan Taylor, I also ended up going with the less on 19.5 rush attempts. He's actually not hit that a single time this past 2 weeks. Daniel Carlson, more 1.5 PATs. I'm hoping the Raiders end up scoring 2 touchdowns in this game. And then Geno Smith, pass completions. I went less because Geno hasn't hit that number for pass completions the past 2 weeks. If you want to roll with that line and put some money in your pocket, make sure you do with our sponsor, Prize Picks. That link's down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. I know Daniel Jones has been playing outstanding football this season. Make him beat you. You know what? If the Raiders do everything in their power and they take Jonathan Taylor out of the game and this guy beats you, tip your cap to him, because I've seen the Daniel Jones experiment for a long time. And I think right now he's looked good enough because of the ability to run the football as well as they've been able to run the football. Yes, the other receivers have been getting involved, but if we're able to go out there, get after them, I want to see another good game by Malcolm Koonce. Somebody's got to be able to step up on defense. But if the game plan is to make Daniel Jones beat you, I'm okay with that game plan. So, what do we got to do then? Stack the box against Jonathan Taylor. Let's use our safeties as strong safeties because we don't have a true free safety. Let's put Isaiah Palomau up near the line. Let's put Jamal Adams, linebacker safety, up near the line. Let's use our players to take away Jonathan Taylor, because I think if you honestly do that, and I'm also saying even through the air, because Taylor leads the NFL in rushing yards. He has those big play abilities. They use him in the screen game. They use him all over the place. He's the spoon that stirs that offensive pot. And I really want to be able to just put that pot on a hot boiling boil of water and it's not stirring anything. I know it's not going to be an easy thing to do, but to our defensive tackles, to our linebackers, if you're not ready to buckle up your chin strap and if you're not ready to man up a little bit, week 5's not going to be for you. Let's go to the next one here. I want to get physical with Michael Pittman Jr. because he's dealing with this hamstring injury. When you have a player that's dealing with hammies, even on run blocking plays, get physical with him. If he's moving right across the line of scrimmage, follow him. And as soon as he goes to get upfield, I want to play press man. If you're not physical enough to play press man against Michael Pittman Jr., then we need to be able to put somebody on him. Because I'll be honest, I don't think Kai Blue and I don't think Darian Porter are physical enough to be able to match up with Michael Pittman. I'm hoping Eric Stokes is healthy. He is trying to play. He's been a limited participant. We'll kind of see what he's feeling with that knee injury. But if I'm the Raiders, I am trying to get a hand on Pittman, and I am also trying to think in the back of my mind with a bad hammy, he might not try to stretch the field as much. But the more and more you keep pushing him, the more and more he gets tired, the more that hammy is going to start to linger in the back of his mind. Let's get physical. Next one, somebody for the love of God, please help Max Crosby. Because the more and more you watch that film from that last week's game, it might have been the greatest performance I've ever seen by a defensive end in a losing effort. I mean, he was flying all over the football field, and you know what you're going to get out of Max. Can Tyree continue to step up? Can a player like Thomas Booker, Adam Butler, I don't give a shit who it is. Are we going to see more of Tonka Hemingway and J.J. Pegues? Because I would like to see those guys a little bit more in a game like this where there's going to be a lot of rotations. We need some fresh faces. If Daniel Jones drops back, Malcolm Koonce has got to be able to go out and get the quarterback. Tyree Wilson, want to continue to see his growth. I think this has got to be a game where, quite frankly, you play Tyree more than you play Malcolm Koonce because Tyree's better against the run. Put him at defensive tackle. If you even want to throw 3 defensive tackles out there on this game, I don't think that that's a bad idea at all. But what I do know is this. It can't just keep being the 98 show. How many times did you see this week? If you saw one person on social media, on YouTube, on television, I don't give a shit where it is, say, Max deserves better. Max got paid what he got paid, and I don't think that yes, I want Max Crosby to obviously win football games because he's a member of the Raiders, but I want to stop the Max deserves better conversation. I'm sick and tired of hearing about it, and I'm not saying it's unwarranted. Here I am saying somebody help him, but somebody else on that Raiders squad, somebody else step up. It's time to step up. Then let's go to the last one here. Got to be able to limit the big plays. I think when you allow Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor to create some of those big runs, when you allow Daniel Jones to stretch the field, he forgets who he is, and he thinks he's got a little bit of swagger, right? His starts to hang a little bit lower. When you limit the big plays, it really forces the Colts to kind of beat you almost in a style like the Josh McDaniels offense where it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. They're going to try to dink it and dunk it, which scares me because Patrick Graham loves when people dink it and dunk it against them. But my favorite Week 5 stat going into this game for the Raiders defense is the Colts lead the NFL in 40-plus yard plays. They have 4 of them through the air and on the ground. Also, they are averaging 6.5 yards per play. That is also first in the NFL. If you would have told me that the Colts would be first place in these 2 stats going into Week 5 at the beginning of the year, I probably would have thought you were a drunken idiot. If you would have told me a Daniel Jones-led team would be 3-1 at this point, probably would have thought you'd be a drunken idiot. But at the end of the day, I do really think if you take away the big plays, Indy's going to turn into Indy. And I almost wonder if the Colts are actually a good team, or did they just get a little bit lucky the first few weeks of the season? Because look at the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a team that you look at that Week 1 game against New England, you're like, maybe they got lucky. But then again, you look at how the game went up against the Bears, and I'm like, well, I think we're a little bit unlucky in that one. So I gave you guys my keys to victory. I want to know from you if you want to give me one on offense, if you want to give me one on defense, what is your biggest key to victory for the Las Vegas Raiders up against the Indianapolis Colts? Please let me know right now. Let's now go to the over-under. Colts, 6.5-point favorites. The Raiders, 47.5. I do think that this is going to be a high-scoring game, but that's also was my thought process going into dome games, and Geno struggled a little bit this season in the dome. I have said at the beginning of the show I'd give you my score prediction. There's never going to be a show where I'm going to tell you the Raiders lose, because the entire idea around this video is how can the Raiders win a game? If the Raiders do my keys to victory on offense and on the defensive side of the football, we're going to get a win, and it's going to be 24-23. It's going to be a nail-biter. It's going to be a hard-fought game. But you know what? This is one of those team-defining games, a culture-defining game. We're going to learn a lot about Geno Smith. We're going to learn a lot about Pete Carroll. We're going to learn a lot about the Las Vegas Raiders going up against Indianapolis, because if you don't bring it this game, I think a lot of us fans are going to go, I don't know if you're ever going to bring it. You know who always brings it, though? Raider Nation. And if you don't know when I'm going to be live this week, I'm live Thursday Night Football, every Thursday Night Football. Then, hour before kickoff, Monday, my wife's not thrilled that I'm missing her birthday, so y'all better pull up both of these live shows. And then Tuesday, on the 7th, you already know, we're going to be live. I better see you there. If you bleed silver and black, I know you'll be there.